Alright guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be going over some more weather. Okay. So it's going to get pretty decent warm today. 80s in the deep south, pushing 80 in Tennessee. Got just widespread 90s for Texas, cooling down throughout the day. Mid 80s all the way up in the South Dakota, right around Rapid City area, around there. Still cool up here in the very far north U.S. Northeast still hanging on to those sub-freezing temps. But overall, it's pretty warm for the mid-U.S. Pretty warm. Midwest. And getting up to the 60s, Pennsylvania. Still getting hot there. Texas still hanging on to those 90s. And then you got this cold front pushing, probably got a line of storms there. Let's check. No line of storm that I see. But that definitely does have the right energy for that. Then it warms up for the southeast, and then it cools back down the southeast. This area is going to be expected to get some cold 40s. Still pretty cool for Georgia, particularly. Through March 25th. Warms back up the next day. Gets back up to the 90s in Texas and Oklahoma. And probably parts of Kansas pushing 90. And pretty cold day for most of the U.S. Like 30s for a high all the way down to Kentucky in the afternoon. Texas, 40s, cold. Cold day in Texas for this time of year. And an Arctic blast pushing in. 80s back up in the South Dakota. More 80s showing up. A little line of storm there. Yeah. Called it. And as you go into April, things warm up for pretty much the whole entire eastern border of the U.S. Things warm up. Like most of the eastern U.S. is going to be well into the 70s and 80s. All the way even up in the Wisconsin, it's going to be like 75. Pretty hot day for the southeast though. 80s, mid-80s, pushing all the way up to Virginia. 90 in Florida. Very hot day for the east, except Maine. And this big line of cold, probably some potential storm systems right there. And then the northeast gets a little cool down back into the teens and singles. Let's look at a precip here. Nebraska, getting some of that cold. South Dakota, rare cold, in fact. This is a rare type of setup. There, yeah, a lot of snow. And we're gonna look at the accumulated snow. Like in the first, like April 3rd, early hours of April 3rd, you're gonna be seeing a lot of snow. If you're in that area, like around the waking hours. And it stays pretty warm. Got some rain coming in to the northeast. Some snows in the upstate mountain areas. Streak of snow south. Down south, got a little streak of snow. But some of y'all might see y'all's last snow of the season. Because when April starts, is when things really warm up. Is when April starts. South Dakota still hangs on to that cold. Really cold there. Like, what's that for average anomaly? Like -10. Okay. Now we're going to look at the Euro. I gotta switch to the 0Z because this has more. And it's calling for snow, but not that much heavy snow. And rain system moving into the U.S. around the 5th, 6th of April. Ooh, severe storms possible for the southeast on April 2nd. What's the temperature going to be there? Only in the 70s. Oh, this is hot for the upstate. That's like pushing 80 in the upstate. Like, let me get a sounding on that. That's 78. That's hot. And then New Hampshire getting really hot into the 80s. 70s, literally all across the South. Like, everywhere in the South is going to be getting... everywhere in the East is going to be getting some sort of 70s or 80s. Southeast may get a bit cooler. Pushing in the low 70s, but everywhere else might get mid to high 70s. But unusually warm day. On April 1st and April 2nd, really unusual warm day. That's more like an early summer type setup there. That could be capable for producing big storms. Yeah, literally. That's crazy. Oh wow, but then a heat wave strikes the Midwest. Possibly 100 degrees in Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Kansas, 90s all the way, mid-90s all the way up to Nebraska, where they're going to be seeing snow a few days later, which is crazy. And Texas reaches 100, actually tomorrow, March 22nd. Well, let's look at temperatures. I'm going to go there. This is going to be a good... Not really much for the southeast, just some storms coming through on the 23rd. Just some storms. Mid-80s all the way up in Kentucky. 90s pushing Illinois. And then hundreds in Texas. Let's look at the west. I know the west has had some unusually warm days. 90s, hundreds in Arizona. Some areas might even see 110, depending on how lucky or unlucky you are. Let's zoom out on the west a little bit. Let's zoom out. Yeah, I got that warm front. Let's look at extended forecast. Wow. Mid-90s all the way up in Nebraska. Okay, let's look at GFS for this. Let's go a little bit forward. Texas warming up like usual. Hundreds in California. Gets hot in Montana on the 30th. And through the beginning of April, things start cooling down a bit. For the Midwest, for the North Midwest. 60s making it up in the Montana, and we gotta include Alaska. Alaska's just gonna stay below freezing for continuous days. Nothing really special, but we do have to track the snowfall. It's gonna be continuous snow for Alaska, just continuous snow. Widespread, 6 inches or so. Snow for the west, and now let's look at snow for the east. There's that streak of snow coming in probably around the 27th or so. But other than that, most of the U.S. stays pretty warm. Stays pretty dry. That's going to be it for this video. Bye.